Meet Natalie. Natalie loves books.
This is your brain on books. Any questions? And this is Angela. She's a very serious jazz singer.
Shooby-dooby-dooby-doop-doop-doo. And sure, we both like to stay informed, but this world sometimes, am I right? You know what we need? 30 minutes of meditation.
Pop culture meditation.
So we're here to remind you.
We get it. You're smart. But right now, take a deep breath and put your books down. It's time. Hello, Angela.
Natalie, hello.
How are you?
How are you?
Okay.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too shabby. You?
Yeah. I'm good. You know, I'm good. I'm excited about our topic today.
I am too. Like, we've got so much to talk about. We can't even I love you, but I just don't have time to ask you about what's up with you. Okay.
Okay. That's fine. We can just move right into it.
We just got to really get into this because we both have extensive notes today.
We do. I'm not, it's true. We do. Mm-hmm.
So, thank you for joining us, listener. Today we are going to talk about one of the most, in my opinion, it was incredibly underrated at the time. It is obviously has been celebrated now and people finally got it.
Yes.
But it's the 1999 movie. It's called Dick. And it's starring Kirsten Dunst, Michelle Williams, and the ultimate 90s dad fixture, Dan Hedaya.
I think that's how you pronounce
it. Look at me.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And this movie. What?
Go ahead.
He was the dad in Clueless.
Yeah, I was just going to say he's the dad in Clueless, right? Yeah.
He was in all of those movies. He was in like almost every movie, and he was such a character actor in the 90s.
Yes.
First Wives Club. I mean, it's just there's just so many.
Yes.
I think he passed R.I.P. Right. So this movie is the idea of a teen comedy about Watergate and Deep Throat. And it just kills me because, when this movie came out, it was a bit buried under all of those other teen movies about the nerdy girl makeover, teen love. So,
yes.
And because this movie was just wildly ahead of its time.
Yes.
And I mean, I wrote a paper on Watergate in the 8th grade. So when I saw this was coming out, I was in high school. I was stoked. I was like, oh my God. So I was excited to go see something about Watergate in a teen movie version. But essentially, this movie is like Watergate and Saturday Night Live had a cinematic baby.
That's such a good way to put that. That is exactly what it is. You nailed it, Natalie. So do you like Dick as much as I do? I guess you do. I mean, you love it, right? You love Dick. I love Dick.
This movie. I love this movie.
I love it. You were actually the first one to introduce me to Dick, I think.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, careful if you go looking for Dick out on your streaming services, everybody, because you're going to find
rent
lot.
It.
You're going to have to rent Dick for sure. And you're going to find a lot of.
If you Google or Safari, whatever, Googling, wondering where you can stream it, it gets a little hairy, if you will.
Yeah, it gets a little hairy, and you're going to find a lot of dicks that you're not looking for. But then, you're going to find Moby Dick and Dick Van Dyke and Tricky Dick, the documentary. But we're just talking about straight up just Dick. Yeah,
the movie.
Got it. Yeah, the movie about Watergate and the girls who are 15.
These teenage
anyway,
girls.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you with that, but go ahead.
No,
keep on going.
No, now let's
Yeah, let's jump right in.
Yeah,
let's hop right in.
Okay. So
why don't you give them the little overview? Yeah, give them a little overview of the plot.
Well, it's
whatever.
just about these 15-year-old girls who they visit the White House for a field trip with their class. Mm-hmm. And they stumble upon the White House dog checkers. They become the White House dog walkers / they call themselves the youth. What is it? The
special
secret youth advisors.
Right. The secret youth advisors to the president, Richard Nixon. This is 1972 prior to the Watergate scandal.
And then, basically it's these girls the plot is about Watergate and that these 15-year-old girls actually become Deep Throat which was the name of the anonymous
Informant.
whistleblower, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, all
Informant.
these words, it's just like way too easy. All of like the whistleblower of Watergate.
Yes.
So yeah, and the movie starts with, I mean, the soundtrack's amazing, the clothes are amazing, but as you jump into this movie, it starts with Will Ferrell
Yes.
and Bruce McCulloch, who from Kids in the Hall, and I
Yes.
completely forgot they played Woodward and Bernstein.
Yeah.
Which that's when you kind of get the idea that this movie includes almost like several Saturday Night Live cast members and several
Right.
Kids in the Hall cast members. It just really jumps at you. And I honestly love Will Ferrell in this movie and Bruce McCulloch because it's very clear they're making fun of Redford and Hoffman from All the
Right.
President's Men, like with the hair. And I mean, they're just making fun of it so well.
Yes.
I mean, Anna guest stars in this, Jim Brewer. It's just like, it's just jam packed. But you start off knowing that Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman from All the President's Men are definitely being mocked by these comedians. So
Yes,
it's
because
already funny. You have Will
it's
Ferrell.
already funny.
You have Will Ferrell straight up out of the gate, and I
Yeah.
don't know how I forgot that he was in this because I love this movie. I've seen it so many times, but I did. So I was like, oh my God, yeah, I forgot. But Betsy, played by Kirsten Dunst, lives in Georgetown, and her best friend Arlene, who is Michelle
Mhm.
Williams, lives in the
Yes.
Watergate apartments, and they keep
Yes.
stumbling into all this illegal shit done by White House politicos.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where this goes.
Well, and Terry Garr plays Arlene's mother.
Yes.
Which is so great. I love Terry Garr just popping up on the screen, and she's just kind of clueless and just wants to remain clueless because these girls are just up to their little hijinks, and they're just so they're 15 years old, and they are going to be in the fan club for Donovan. Is it Donovan? The movie
Bobby
Bobby
Singer? No, it's Bobby.
It's Bobby. I can't remember.
Bobby,
anyway,
like Singer.
No, it's not Singer.
Well, it's Bobby something.
Yeah. And they're going to join his fan club. And so they're going downstairs at the Watergate apartments to mail a letter. And they put tape over the door so that they can get back in without her mom knowing that they're like sneaking out to go put this letter into the mailbox. And so when they come back, that's when they see the Watergate like spying going down, and there's like CIA watching, and there's all these people watching, and they're like not CIA, they're just trying to watch the Watergate to make sure that the break-in is happening. And so they assume, whatever, that these are just creepy people. But what I love so much about Michelle and Kirsten in this movie is how they play it so straight. They play it so straight, like they're not in on the joke at all. Right. They're just 15-year-old girls, just like, ew, who is that creepy?
Being 15-year-old girls.
Totally. And I feel like we see Michelle, I mean, girl crush alert, Michelle Williams.
We all have one.
All of us. I mean,
everybody has a girl crush.
She's so good. I mean, I always loved Kirsten Dunst too. I think she's great.
I still do. Absolutely. I love both
her.
Of them.
But Michelle really stands out for me in this. I don't know why, but both of them, they're just a perfect duo actually together. And I guess they were like 19 in real life when they did this,
17,
but they're playing 15-year-olds.
Yeah. Kirsten's was 17. I think Michelle
like
was
19.
Yeah.
No, I love it. All the little things, they're on their little school trip, and the teacher is like, we're going to go on a field trip after we go to the White House to McDonald's.
Yeah.
And everybody's like,
I remember that feeling.
I mean, it's so exciting, right? She's like, I love the French fries. I love the French fries. Oh my God, the French fries. And then, of course, Arlene and Betsy go to the White House. They get all, like you said, twisted up with the president's people. And they get back to the bus late. And it turns out that they have ruined the field trip to McDonald's.
They don't get to go to nobody gets that whole bus doesn't get to go to McDonald's anymore.
Yeah.
So everybody's mad at them.
Yeah, everybody's mad at them, even though like they're in the midst, they're like embroiled in this national scandal and they don't even know it. So what was your favorite, like, tell me some of your favorite parts of this movie.
Well, I think so they were making they were going back to the White House to see the president often to go walk Checkers the dog.
Right.
And every time they would go, they would make these Hello Dollies that
Right.
Kirsten Betsy's mother had this secret special recipe. And
Cookies.
her brother was this, 18-year-old, like kind of hippie dude. Obviously, he hid his weed in the walnuts.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know that. So all the Hello Dollies that they made for the president, and then eventually they were obsessed with him and her parents and his other politicos were weed. They were weed Hello Dollies. So that was like a really funny aspect. But there was a discussion that Betsy and Arlene had about her either dead or estranged dad. We didn't really know at the time while they're making these Hello Dollies. And it was just like little things like this that I love. Right. Yeah. And, it's like 15-year-olds just being 15-year-olds. And, Arlene doesn't know about her dad except that he died, and her mom doesn't have pictures and doesn't talk about it. And then Betsy's like, well, what if he's not dead? Like, what if this is like not what really happened to him? Like she's like, I think your mom's lying to you. I think your dad is alive. Oh, yeah. And, then she does like this whole spin on, and what if you get engaged one day and you didn't know that your dad had adopted this person, or like this was your fiance is really your brother because your dad was the dad and you didn't know that. And then and Betsy goes, it's called incest, Arlene, and it's against the law. It's just quirky, like gems like that. And
the dialogue is so
it's just the dialogue is so good. And then as this goes on, they keep meeting with the president and running into him and saying hi and telling them their opinions on the Vietnam War, and which essentially teaching Nixon the peace sign, which he uses. So then Nixon pulls out of the Vietnam War. They think that was their idea. They're like, y'all are welcome. Okay, like they are taking credit for all of the things that are happening. And then him doing that peace sign, like goodbye, they were like, we taught him that, And then it comes to the real good stuff when Arlene has this crush on Bobby Sherman.
Bobby Sherman, right. Thank you. God,
like obsession. Thank you. And her crushes are very wild. And honestly, this was a little relatable to me. Mm-hmm. And how big my crushes were when I was young. It was like, the Macaulay Culkin, the Harrison Ford, the Steve Buscemi, sure. Borderline dangerous, all the pictures and stuff on the walls, like all that stuff.
Right.
But Arlene, she shifts her crush from Bobby Sherman to Nixon. So she has like fallen in love with Richard Nixon. And is obsessed with him.
I don't remember what it was that made her obsessed with him. Like, what was it? Like, she just started listening to him talk?
She just started listening to him talk. Her crush just changed because they thought they were making all this difference, and he was listening to her. And it wasn't really a definitive moment, but she ditches her glasses for contacts so that when she goes to the White House, she doesn't have her glasses. And there's this dream sequence of Michelle Williams and Dan Hedaya on the beach. It's like a romantic dream sequence that is absolutely hysterical
and absurd.
I think about when they filmed it. Like, I want to know how many takes that took, like how they both kept a straight face. It is, riding a horse, they're spinning around together. They are staring at each other, like longingly into each other's eyes. That is such a slapstick, incredible part of this movie that you're just like, this is hilarious.
She's like, what about your husband? What about Pat, your wife?
Yeah.
And he's like,
I know you're married, but whatever, it's just.
She doesn't mind.
No. Yeah. It's just,
and then
it's crazy.
Remember the.
Remember?
Remember the sand castle that is built for her?
It's the White House.
It's the White House.
It's so good. By the way, side note, did you know this is directed by Andrew Fleming? Do you remember what else he directed?
You're
not going to guess.
No, but
Threesome.
I think you're going to. Oh my God.
We've talked about Threesome.
Oh, we did. We talked about Threesome with Lauren.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
So I want to say that a lot of the absurdity, like, he wrote
Yes.
he co-wrote this movie too, and a lot of the absurdity, I mean, that makes a lot of sense now with threesome.
Yes.
I'm just glad that this guy got to writing Dick and to making this movie, because it's
Yep.
such a gem. I also, after the dream sequence, and we're very overwhelmed with this like massive, dangerous crush that she has on Richard Nixon,
Yes.
which would never happen. Actually, you know what? Who am I to judge?
You're
People would
not.
probably say that about Steve Buscemi, and I'm
You're
not
right.
here for that. I'm not here for that.
He's the powerful. He's the president of the United States. POTUS.
It just, to me, it would be like Bob Dole of our time. Like if you had a crush on Bob Dole, and I'm not shaming anyone. Like, I have no room to talk. Obviously, we know this.
Natalie, have you ever
we all
seen
have eclectic taste.
Listen, have you ever seen young pictures of Bob Dole?
Of course not.
He was not a bad looking guy, dude.
Was it from
the
like
record
the
just scratched?
Was it of 1900s?
No, it was like 1950s. Everybody go Google Bob Dole in the 50s. He's not bad looking.
Okay.
Or skip it. I don't care. Skip it. Whatever.
Is it like, I mean, is it going to wow me?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, you're right. I'm weird.
You should go look. You should go look.
I might.
Yeah. You might be surprised.
I might be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, remember when Bob Dole did those erectile dysfunction ads?
No, you're lying.
I am not lying. He did when Viagra first came out. Yes, it is. It is absolutely true. Speaking of dick, Bob Dole did erectile dysfunction ads. Remember? Darren is nodding his head. He remembers.
Was this like what?
I think
decade?
He must have had.
Before he ran for president?
No.
After he ran for president?
In the 2000s.
I mean, like, why not?
Yeah. He's like, I got to make some money too. Yeah. I got to make money.
Good for him. He lightened up a little bit.
That's
good. Okay.
He's going for that market. That was the market that they needed to target. It's a target audience right there. Well, Bob Dole. Bob Dole.
Sure.
Anyway.
So the girls are going back and forth. I'm dying over this. The girls are going back and forth to the White House, and then as this is going on, they keep, being involved in all of these different Watergate things. Like they have a van. Well, I'll do this first. So they go and they hear a recording of Nixon yelling at checkers and like screaming at the dog they think he loves.
Yes.
And also speaking horribly, direct quote, prejudice and potty mouth, because they're mortified when they hear this, and they confront him about what they've
recordings.
Heard.
Because sorry to interrupt you, but they hear recordings because Richard Nixon was notorious for recording all of his conversations. He recorded everything in the White House, which was part of his downfall, because it was all on tape, everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So these girls hear some things. Mm-hmm.
So they hear him like speaking against Jewish people and yelling at checkers, and then he was calling. Anyway, they called him a prejudice and a potty mouth.
Yep.
And they confront him, and then he turns on them. Right. So then he yells at them, and everything shifts. Arlene is devastated. They leave the White House. They're so upset, and Arlene says, "I hate Dick." Right. And the genius of this is obviously Richard Nixon was. Richard is the formal name, a nickname of Richard is Dick. So
it is, Natalie?
To be clear,
is it really?
I feel like we're teetering on our rating with this one.
Oh, no.
I'm nervous.
We're just talking about Richard Cranium. Richard.
Right.
Okay.
But Kirsten Dunst is like, you can't let Dick run your life. So they have these lines throughout the whole movie.
Yes.
That Angela was treating us with when we were starting the episode. So that's kind of like how a lot of this humor, they really played on the name Dick. So,
but they do it so subtly.
Innocently.
They're not doing it how I do it. They don't do it like how I do it when I go.
There was no innuendo.
Do you like Dick? Get it? Like there's no get it. Like, hey Natalie, do you like Dick?
You see what I did there?
There's
Are you picking up what I'm putting down? It's pretty clear.
There's none of that.
Yeah,
they're actually
my pen
smart.
knows what you're talking about.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, so they do that innocently throughout the entire movie.
Right.
And then they bring up like the brother, Kirsten's brother is caught watching the deep throat porno
Yes.
And so that's kind of how, and that's how that is introduced into this movie,
Yeah.
because eventually they are on a mission to tell on
Expose.
Richard Nixon and expose him to Will Ferrell, to Woodward and Bernstein, and that's like how that kind of like, and then they start getting followed, and their house gets bugged, and there's a van that's following them called White House, like the plumbers of the White House, which is a nod to the White House plumbers. I mean, weren't those the people that were making sure people were not talking about water? Like it was like the cleanup crew, essentially. Is that what I think that's what that was? Am I right?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was.
I don't remember.
Anyway, so side note, Ryan Reynolds has a cameo in this.
Oh
a
my
young
God.
Ryan Reynolds.
I cannot with
And
Ryan
it was
Reynolds
so
in this.
perfect.
So perfect.
So perfect.
People need to just watch it to watch the Ryan Reynolds scene.
It was
it's
so good.
Damn good.
Yeah. And then honestly, the end of the movie approaches. They've gotten the stuff for his to expose Nixon, and then
They're gonna expose Dick.
he was exposed. That was good.
Sorry.
And then he's resigning, and he resigns, and they're like, and then they are cutting up these American flags to make clothes. And they're like, isn't this illegal to like desecrate a flag? They're like, not if you're going to use it to wear it. So they make outfits out of the flag. And the best part, like one of my other favorite parts in this movie, is the song "You're So Vain" starts playing as it's like saying goodbye to him, and he's going on this helicopter. You know, when after he resigned. And Ford has taken over and been
sworn in.
What is the sworn in? Mm-hmm. So "You're So Vain" is playing, and trivia: the helicopter they used in this movie was the same model that Nixon used when he resigned. It was like the same helicopter. They had to go through some hoops.
Yeah. Well, continuity.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So they fly, like disgraced Nixon is flying in a helicopter with his wife away from DC, and they go up to the roof of Watergate, and he looks down, they've made this huge banner that says, "You suck, comma, Dick." And then it's like not XO, but XO Deep Throat. And it's the two girls, and he sees that it's them, and he just, he's so angry and gets so mad.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the movie. And it's just, there's not a lot of like spoilers. I don't feel there's any spoilers in this movie, as it is a satire of history. So essentially you're going to know what's going on, but it's just the quirkiness and the fun of it all is worth watching a million times.
I truly could watch it 5 more times. I watched it last night and I was like, I have to watch this all over again, because honestly, it's one of those movies where I just sat there and I was like, this is so clever.
Yes.
It's so clever.
It's so clever.
And it doesn't ever veer into slapstick. It just is. It's just like a story about these 2 girls who get caught up in the Watergate scandal, and they believe that they have exposed the president and they have become Deep Throat.
Yeah.
And then it's like very tongue in cheek. And then you realize the movie is called Dick, and you're like, oh my God, Deep Throat, Dick. It's just so funny. It's
so
just
funny.
Great. It's just great.
Oh, side note, do you know who Deep Throat was?
I mean, I remember reading about it or hearing about it a few years ago, like that they exposed it. Oh, geez.
Yeah, it was
that was
Mark
like 10
Felt.
years ago, right?
He was the FBI, like former FBI associate director.
Because they knew like all the shenanigans that were going on, and
yes, they always do. I can't. That's like a whole separate thing. If you want me to get into all the like,
I know.
We're Put Your Books Down is not about corruption.
No,
but we know about it.
But the cover up, and the cover up was worse than the crime. Like all the cover up is always worse than the crime. Like it's like you get in trouble for the cover up. It's like when I was younger and I was in high school and I would go do something, and I would get in, like I'm going to put my sister on blast. She would go do stuff and she would get in trouble for lying. Yeah. Not about the thing she did. Like she walked out on the, snuck out of the house or whatever, but then she lied about it and she got in trouble for lying. So when I was a kid, I was like, well, I'm just going to do the stuff, but I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to flagrantly do it.
You were just shamelessly doing the things, honestly, like to your parents, like, tough shit, I'm doing this, but at least I told you.
Exactly.
Like,
and then what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it now?
And look then it's at me now.
we don't know what we're going to do.
Like,
'Cause
don't stop me now.
Yeah, they're like, we're kind of expecting you to lie to us. Like, and that was one of the funny things in this movie too with Terry Garr. She was like, girls, I just know there's something going on here because they were getting their phones were tapped in the Watergate
The
apartment.
Washington Post was calling them nonstop.
The Washington Post is calling them nonstop. Like, do you have more information? And they're like, well, we have this list. It's called Creep. I don't know. It's like Creep. And Terry Garr just says to them, girls, I know something is going on here, but I don't want to know about it. You know, she just wanted to be totally out of the loop. She didn't care. And then remember, Ted McGinley's character comes and like totally woos her.
Yeah.
The mother. And it turns out that he's one of the president's operatives or whatever.
He was like an informant.
And yeah, he was like the guy who's like trying to get all the juice on spying on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. I love Dick.
This is such a wonderful movie. It's such
it's
like
sorry,
the whole thing is so enjoyable, and you know, especially to your what you've been saying. I know you love it. But so. Yep. Everyone,
I know you know that I love
it.
Not,
this is yep, yeah. I think everybody
can appreciate. Probably.
Well, sure. I mean, you're
right.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you love
this movie.
This movie.
I love this movie.
Oh,
I do. I want everyone, if you're listening, just go back and rewatch this movie. It is such a delight. It is so funny.
It really is.
There's no part that like bugs. Like you enjoy it the whole time.
Yes.
It's really good.
Love it.
So, Angela.
Yeah.
You know what it's time for?
I do. Pit stop. That was kind of a mellow one on your part.
Well, I didn't know when I was going to chime in.
Okay. We talked about this earlier, what our pit stop was going to be, and you shook my world.
I shook it. I shook it right up.
Shook.
I knew it. I knew you would be.
I mean, I even might have said like something happened. Like
this is very hot and heavy. Put your books down.
It is because tell me what it is. So Brad Pitt has been filming. Is it a NASCAR movie? What is it?
It's Formula One.
Oh, Formula One.
Yeah.
Movie. What's it called? Do we know what it's called?
Apex? I don't know. It's some Formula One.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. I don't care what it's called.
It really doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
because we're going to the theater. So
because we're gonna go see it. I mean, we're gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because
he's in coveralls.
Oh.
He's got the haircut from Seven.
I mean,
it's stupid.
It is.
He looks
ridiculously.
You tell me, Angela. You tell me how he looks. How does he look?
He looks like a man who doesn't care about his looks, which makes him 1,000 times hotter.
Mm-hmm.
But his hair is perfectly cut.
Oh, is that haircut?
In a way that it's
God.
Amazing how a haircut can really just send me into orbit. You know?
Yeah, it really frames his face.
The color is fantastic.
It's that choppy 90s haircut he had in Seven, which is just like, God.
I know. And I don't, here's the thing. And I'm just going to say this. Frank, my beautiful, wonderful husband, he did a little self-care today. And he went and got his haircut from a very nice barber who's very, very good. And he showed him a picture of what he wanted to look like. And that barber came back and gave him a spectacular haircut. And
what
Frank
was the picture?
It was like it was kind of like a short on the sides, kind of a little bit undercut with like a swoop on the top, like
a little Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, like a little Peaky Blind. Anyway, I don't know.
Peaky Blinders.
I don't know what he showed, but he showed him that, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I'm on it. I got it. I can totally do this to you." And he did it, and Frank walks in the door, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'm like,
Frank's got some
whoa.
swag.
And Frank is like, "Bam!" And he's like, "Look at my hair. Look at how good my." I mean, he was like openly telling me, feeling himself like crazy. Yes, he needed the
Good.
men, gentlemen out there listening. You need self-care. You
1,000,000%.
need to go get your hair done. You need to feel good about yourself. You need to
Get a
take care of your
facial. Laser
skin.
Care Skin Clinic.
Yes, get a facial. Like
Yeah, get a massage.
Get a massage.
Get a mani-pedi. It's fine.
Use exfoliators. Like
Yes.
do
Use a
all
serum
the things.
for crying out loud.
Yes, do it. You need to do it because you can tell that Brad is taking care of himself. And
Right.
if you want to look like Brad Pitt, boys, you're going to need to step it up a little bit.
Or if you just want to have that Brad Pitt energy.
Which I think we all know is just some BPE.
That's some swag.
BPE.
Brad Pitt energy.
You know what I mean?
BPE. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the movie we're speaking of.
No, well, we've already talked
B-
about that one. I think we need to start now BPE, Brad Pitt energy.
I know, but P could stand for something else. Do you see
But
what
we're
I'm saying?
talking this is a pit stop. So we're talking
know,
about Brad Pitt energy.
Do you
No,
understand
I know,
that P and D have the same
no,
meaning?
I absolutely
Do you understand?
Got what you're saying. Oh, yeah, it's real clear. Yeah, no, I get it. Absolutely. Yeah. I get
Natalie,
you.
do I have to explain everything?
You usually, a lot of times you do.
Because who am I? Captain who?
No, you're not even Captain Splansy. Like sometimes
Okay.
I don't get it. Like I'm not thinking, I'm not like Jocelyn Balls.
Right. Are we going to go back to that again?
I'm just saying. In the last few episodes, you've kind of left me high and dry. I'm just going to say it.
Left you hanging?
You left me like a little fawn like Bambi in winter. And I have not known about, it was the Jocelyn Balls. Mm-hmm. And there was cuckold. You didn't tell me what that was. Y'all just let me run with that.
Cuckold.
Whatever. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. It was a disaster.
I'm not proud of the fact that I know these things or that my mind goes into these gutterous places.
Well, that's why you feel like you have to explain everything to me because I'm just a big ding dong.
Well, your dad would be proud. Sometimes you're just a big old ding dong.
Sometimes I just do act like a ding dong. Well, hey, listen, I think we should wrap up.
Wrap it up.
Okay. This is just getting disgusting. All right. I hope we don't have child listeners. I doubt it. But this may have to come with a disclaimer about a teen movie. It's PG.
It's PG-13.
Well, I count 13 as a child.
Well, I do too. Natalie, obviously. Jeez.
Well, I didn't say you didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you know what we were on this episode today? I'm going to say it. Rough. We sound like rough ladies.
Well, I'll try to be less rough.
Like, did we just come out of the honky tonk? Like, what's going on with us?
Natalie, come on.
Look, I don't hate a honky tonk. You know that. You know I love a good honky tonk.
Yeah, I was actually nervous to talk about this episode today because I was afraid that I was going to be...
I did not get that vibe from you.
I was really nervous.
Well, you did great.
Thanks. Well, I'm glad that we... Thank you.
You're a bright star.
Whew. Well, we're going to, as we said, we're going to...
Yep, we're going to be done with this. Be done with this episode. I'll go ahead and initiate our... We're going to go ahead. I adore you. I love you. Thank you for being with me always. My heart.
Always with you.
And my brain. And the air.
And in your soul.
In my soul.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
I'm going to say to you, Angela,
mm-hmm.
Namaste, clean rating.
Namaste, clean. That's all. I don't know. That doesn't make any... Your face is very disturbed.
Mm-mm.
Mm. Mm. Namaste.
Mm-mm.
Namaste. How about just namaste? Namaste.
Okay.
Namaste.
Okay.
Stay. Sit, Ubu. Sit. Good dog. Like that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, just gonna stay. Okay?
That sounds good.
Sounds good.
Well, I will talk to you shortly.
Okay. BPE.
As we talk every day. I love you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Now, isn't that better? Thanks for listening. Feel free to leave us a review and be sure to subscribe wherever you get your shows. Put Your Books Down is produced by ClantonCreative.com.